Sting comments now. Speaking of Tony Khan, as we did before, that wasn't the midget talk. That was, we mentioned Tony Khan before. He made the rather ridiculous statement that Sting's AEW run, about Sting's AEW run. So here we go. When you talk about some of the biggest names in pro wrestling, for me, it starts and ends with Sting. Sting is still a huge part of AEW. One of the greatest things we've accomplished is bringing Sting out of retirement. He is still wrestling to this day. He is undefeated in AEW, in fact, and is on the greatest run of his career right now in AEW. What do you think of that?
What run is he on? Bathroom run?
I think he's on the run where he turns up once every 2 months.
Yeah, he's on his greatest run. And I'll tell you how to get him out of retirement. Just wave some dollars at him. You said, okay, let's say, James, you've retired.
Mm-hmm.
Some guy he's got $1 billion. And he calls you up or makes contact with you and wants you to come and say he wants you to be on a podcast with him. And you say, I don't know. I don't. But then he says, I will give you $10,000 a show. Well, now you look at him a little bit differently, don't you? And would you come out of retirement to do a show for $10,000 for 2 hours?
I probably would, yeah.
See? And that's what he had to, I think that's all he told Sting. And how many times do you see Sting actually wrestle in AEW?
Very rarely. He generally
you might see him in a ring.
Tags and six-mans occasionally.
And you might see him make a comeback or do his drop. You may see him. And the closest he come to killing himself was that dive off the ladder. Now, they said that was all Sting's idea, which I'm sure it was. Because you're not going to make him do anything he doesn't want to do. But by doing that, he landed short. He knocked himself out. He knocked a tooth out or knocked something out. And he misjudged it. But you could tell he didn't do a lot of flying off a ladder, landing on somebody. I'm glad he made it. But he could have been hurt a lot worse. I don't know what they got in AEW. They must have a little lucky rabbits. They all run around with rabbits' feet on their little foot. Rabbit foot is a lucky charm. But I don't know why somebody really hasn't been badly injured, other than the guy breaking his leg.
Mm.
And who was that guy that it broke his leg?
Just trying to think of his name. The name's gone. I mean, as we say before, we did that spot. We remember he was injured, and then neither of us can remember his name. So it really wasn't worth the risk in that sense.
We can't even remember his name now.
Yeah. I had a look. So since 2021, Sting has done, and I'm actually surprised at this, 18 matches for AEW. So that's in the space of what?
3 years?
21, 22, 23. So yeah, in the space of about 2.5 years, he's done 18 matches.
That's once a month, maybe less.
Yeah, less than that. But keep
once every 6 weeks.
So let's say this is the greatest run of his career. So we have to discount WCW and all his world title wins. We have to discount him headlining the most bought WCW pay-per-view ever with Hulk Hogan in '97 Starrcade. We have to discount the WWE WrestleMania match, which was a big deal, even though he lost. And then his WWE run was really muted, really, ultimately. We have to discount everything he did in TNA as well. And he did do quite a lot of matches in TNA. And I know you're not the biggest fan of Sting, but I thought, he was pretty much the franchise player for TNA. He was the company's biggest star for the vast majority of his run there.
Well, I disagree. But
who was that?
Kurt Angle. I think Kurt Angle was the workhorse. And I think he was over just as much as Sting. And to me, much more entertaining to watch. And much more entertaining to listen to. Because Kurt had some great interviews. And Sting, I never remember one memorable interview Sting ever did. But you remember some of Kurt's. Well, I really don't, but they were entertaining because I would stop and listen to Kurt. Would I stop and listen to Sting? No, I wouldn't. But Sting is not a good talker in the locker room either. He doesn't really say a lot. Well, yeah, he may have said a lot to some of his big time buddies back there, but like Lex Luger, he may have said something, talk to them. But other than that, as a locker room force, he just sit over there, and I will say that he would just sit over there and stay to himself and stay in his lane, and it worked for him.
I'm sure that the one thing you'll agree with me on about Sting is that he's kept himself in great shape, and he is really defying the years still.
He is. How old is he? 60?
Over, probably 62, 63, I'd say.
Well, we understand why he only has a match every 6 weeks. And Tony was wise to do that because I don't think Sting could do more. I mean, without a drop in production, because you can't. He's an old workhorse, but you can't overwork him at this point because he could get hurt very, very easily.